And I know that, you know, you're supposed to say allegedly. But he did all of it. He did everything. He did everything that I believe that Diddy did whatever they say he did. And that doesn't just apply to like the cases he has now. I believe Diddy did stuff he hasn't been accused of yet. I believe Diddy caused inflation. He's even, if I'm not mistaken, being charged with arson in connection with blowing up Kid Cudi's car. Who?
Please keep this to yourself. Simon.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to be here. I have to thank you first and foremost, and many reasons. You know, I'm a huge fan of all your work, but the conversation we had when we were over in LA was received so unbelievably well by the listeners on this podcast. It did millions and millions and millions of downloads in such a short space of time that I had to nag you to get you to come back again when you were here in the UK. So,
well, it's nice to be back, and it's nice to do it on your home turf.
Yeah, literally in my home.
Literally in your home.
There's so many things that I want to talk to you about, but one of the things that I was curious about, because I've been thinking a lot about this in my life, is this idea of our whys evolving. Mm-hmm. What is your why, and has it evolved over the last decade at all?
So my why is to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. So together, each of us can change our world for the better.
That's like losing the combined workforce of Birmingham and Glasgow from the economy. This is the crisis that the new government has inherited. As a journalist, what I can't work out is how such a huge scandal is going almost completely unnoticed. When unemployment hit 3 million under Margaret Thatcher, there was outrage. But when the number on sickness benefit hits 3 million, almost nobody seems to ask why, how on earth we got to this stage, or what life is actually like for those now caught in the system. Here in Boston, this church gives out free lunches twice a week. The number of people in the town on long-term sickness benefits has doubled in the last 5 years alone. That's the fastest increase in the country. This is my chance to speak to some of them and hear their stories.
I worked in security up until a couple of years ago, and I had to
so big that most of us have probably heard their name at some point in our lives, or at least walked past a building with their name on it. But how did they get their billions, you know? What are the skeletons in the family closet? I want to know. And why do I have that same microwave feeling that I shouldn't get too close to them? Well, we're about to find out. I've got answers, Joan. You look great. Now, the name that most people are familiar with, if they've heard of the Rockefeller family, is John D. Rockefeller. Because he's like the Daddy Warbucks of America. I hope you know who that is. You do, right? Okay, great. Honestly, he kind of reminds me of William Hearst. Yeah, both of them were extremely ambitious, completely obsessed with money, and just willing to do anything to get it. And just like Hearst, to really understand who John was and like what motivated him, we gotta talk about the man that raised him. You know, go back to the source. And
is you don't have to have any followers to have a post go viral. So the social media that I grew up on when you were little kids, you had to amass followers for anyone to see your stuff. I think that comes very natural to all of you. You understand that. What's happened in the last 12 months is the game is completely flipped. Now, even if you have no followers in here, your first post can get 10,000 views, if it's good. I was just talking to Principal, I was talking to my team. This book right here that I just wrote, Day Trading Attention, just came out and really breaks it down. I just decided in the back room that I'm gonna send hundreds of books here.
Quo.com/Phil. It's QUO.com/Phil, or scan that QR code. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. But the next up in the news, by the time that you're watching this, the government may have actually already shut down, because Congress has until midnight tonight to reach a deal on a spending bill to fund the government and avoid a shutdown. But with just hours to go as I'm making this, neither side has budged from their demands, and all signs they're pointing to a shutdown. Right, so you have the Republican majority pushing a short-term stopgap bill that'll extend the current funding levels through November 21st, giving lawmakers more time to hash out a long-term agreement. And that proposal did pass in the House just a few weeks ago, with only one Democrat joining Republicans. But then the narrow Republican majority in the Senate, they've been unable to break the 60-vote filibuster. And there you're seeing Democratic leaders saying they won't sign on to any legislation unless it extends key Affordable Care Act subsidies that are set to expire soon and reverses Medicaid cuts made under Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Or with Democrats saying if that doesn't happen, 15 million people could lose their health coverage and 24 million could see their insurance premiums increase by 75%. But Republican leaders, they refuse to make any concessions, arguing that the healthcare demands are just a matter of policy.
A bit like the neighbor that comes by every day and makes you an offer for your house. Makes you a stupid offer, you ignore it. Makes you a great offer, you can take it. And that's the stock market. And the key is to figure out what something's worth. And you have to kind of weigh it. He talked about the difference between, the stock market in the short term is a voting machine. It represents speculative interests, supply and demand of people in the short term. But in the long term, the stock market's a weighing machine, much more accurate. It's going to tell you what something's worth. And so if you can divine what something's worth, then you can really take advantage of the market, because it's really here to help you. And that's kind of the message of the book.
In that same way, there's a kind of difference between speculation and investing.
Yeah. Speculation is it's a bit like trading crypto, right?
Strong words.
Well, short-term trading crypto. Maybe in the long run, there's intrinsic value. But
as you look back on it, how did Coinbase win?
Well, yeah, it has been a long journey. And I remember actually seeing you guys go through YC and everything was very inspiring for me. It was like, okay, maybe a fintech company could be built in this area. So I had a lot of aspiration to go through YC, in part by seeing what Stripe did. And you're right, in those early days, it was the Wild West. I mean, I'd go to the early Bitcoin meetups, and there was like brilliant cryptography PhDs and also just anarchists. And like, it was really, I mean, one of the first meetups I went to in San Francisco for Bitcoin, a guy there told me he was starting his own religion. I thought was a little off topic, but somehow it all worked together in his mind. So we've come together from these kind of early days, which remind me of the Chaos Computer Club kind of equivalent. And I think Coinbase made a couple of decisions there that helped us ride through. One was that we decided to follow a regulated approach, which meant working with the United States government and going and get money transmitter licenses, which I remember the anarchists.
We are starting to create, right? And I think it's so important for people to remember that they're the creators of their lives instead of the victim of their lives, right? So the victim is saying, I'm feeling this way because that person or that circumstance, or I don't have any money, is causing me to feel this way. That's my relationship with money. What that really means is I'm using my lack to reaffirm my dependency, my addiction, my conditioning. That's my relationship with money, is that I put my attention on money because I don't have it. So their relationship with money is, of course, built on lack. And so when they don't have it, they feel bad. And what they're really saying is, my outer environment, my reality is actually controlling the way I feel and the way I think. So Lewis, why are you in a good mood today? Things are going good. Why in a bad mood? Things are going bad today. So this unconscious program of victimization is saying that we're allowing our environment to influence the way we feel and the way we think.
I've seen this video footage, as you say, it's been making the rounds, and he walks with a stiff gait, presumably because he has a rifle down his pants. He gets on top of the building, he takes the rifle out of his pants, and now he's able to walk more freely, and he crouches down and fires. And there are these casings. I'm not well-versed enough to know what exactly those casings mean, what they're references to. I see that I've seen reports that they might have some connection to video games, but I don't know. But obviously they're of interest to the investigators. They have a